After my girlfriend cheated at the massage parlor. What is this? I stared at the small box in my hand labeled birth control pills. My fingers unconsciously tightened, the paper box making a faint rustling sound in my palm. We have always taken proper protective measures, so it seems unnecessary to use it. Then why did it suddenly appear in my girlfriend Yvonne's bag? Bang! Yvonne's small purse fell to the ground. A box of medicine spilled out along with lipstick and other items. I turned around and walked over, crouching down to pick up her small bag. I picked up the things on the ground one by one. Suddenly, my fingers paused as I discovered something that shouldn't have been there. Birth control pills. Strange. Our security measures have always been thorough, so there was no need for this thing at all. Could it be? In an instant, I felt as if I had been struck by lightning. What's wrong? What was that sound? Yvonne's voice came from the bathroom, accompanied by the sound of rushing water. It's nothing, the book fell. I've already picked it up. I quickly stuffed everything into my bag, my voice so calm that even I was surprised. The bathroom door opened, and Yvonne came out wrapped in a towel. Her wet hair draped over her shoulders, her skin flushed with the redness of a massage. Since she twisted her waist at the gym, she has been going for rehabilitation massages 4 times in a row this week. My gaze fell on her exposed shoulder. There was a faint red mark there, as if someone had sucked on it hard. How was the massage today? I asked casually. Yvonne paused in her movement, stiffening for a brief moment. Pretty good. The masseur said it will take another 2 weeks to fully recover. She avoided my gaze and turned to the wardrobe to look for clothes. Masseur? Mason is the masseur at the massage parlor where Yvonne works. I saw him once the first time I accompanied Yvonne there. He keeps in good shape and has well-defined features. He always speaks with a gentle smile, looking much younger than his actual age. You've been going quite frequently lately. I leaned against the doorframe, watching my girlfriend's reaction. Yvonne, with her back to me, put on a loose t-shirt. The doctor said it only works if you stick with it. Her voice was somewhat distant. By the way, you don't need to pick me up tomorrow night. I've made plans to have dinner with my colleagues. I nodded, not asking any more, but doubts had already arisen in my heart. That night, after Yvonne had fallen into a deep sleep, I quietly got up and looked through her phone. The password hadn't changed. It was still her birthday. The chat history was very clean. But recently, there was one number that appeared unusually often in the call logs, without a saved name. I noted down that number and checked her spending records. For spending records, each time booking 2 hours. This far exceeds the frequency recommended by the doctor for recovery. The next day, I took half a day off and arrived early at the coffee shop opposite the massage parlor. Through the glass window, I could clearly see the entrance of the massage parlor. At 3 in the afternoon, Yvonne appeared right on time. She had put on makeup specially today, wearing a floral dress I had never seen before, and walked into the massage parlor with a light step. I watched it all with a calm gaze. After waiting for 20 minutes, I paid and left the coffee shop. Then I crossed the street and walked into the massage parlor. Hello, do you have a reservation? The receptionist asked with a smile. I'm looking for Master Mason. I lowered my voice. A friend recommended him, saying his technique is especially good. The receptionist checked the appointment list. The masseur currently has a client and will probably be busy for another hour. You can have a regular massage now or come back another day. Which room is he in? My friend said I must see him for a lumbar treatment. I pretended to be familiar and insisted. Room 5, the receptionist said without suspicion, but you really need to wait. It's okay, I'll come back another day, I said, pretending to think for a moment. Then I feigned disappointment and stepped out of the shop. I wandered around nearby for an hour until I saw Yvonne coming out of the massage parlor. Her cheeks were flushed, her lips slightly swollen, and her hair a bit disheveled. My nails dug deeply into my palm, further confirming the thoughts in my heart. In the following 2 weeks, I began systematically collecting evidence. I followed Yvonne 3 times, each time confirming that she went to room 5. At the same time, I asked a friend working at the telecom bureau to check the frequently appearing number. Confirmed it belongs to Mason. I even secretly installed tracking software on Yvonne's phone. The evidence kept piling up. My heart grew colder and colder. But I need concrete evidence, an irrefutable moment. After 2 years of love, I don't want to define it based on my suspicions. Finally, the opportunity came on a rainy night. Yvonne sent a message saying she had to work overtime, but her location showed she was at. I hurried to the massage parlor in the rain. I found the back door unlocked. It was probably a passage the staff used to sneak out for a smoke. I didn't bother with that and slipped in silently. Following my memory, I arrived in front of room number 5. I leaned in to listen. Faintly, I heard strange sounds coming from inside the room. Damn it, you filthy bitch, you're really cheating on me behind my back. I grasped the doorknob and gently pressed down, only to find that the door was not locked. I was just about to rush in and scold the two of them angrily. However, although the voice inside was the same as Yvonne's, I had not yet seen it with my own eyes, so I dared not make a final judgment. To avoid any accidents and ensure it was Yvonne inside, I could only suppress the impulse in my heart. I reached out and slowly pushed open a gap. I leaned down and looked through the gap. The scene before my eyes made my blood freeze instantly. That flicker of hope in my heart was completely extinguished. I saw the two of them entwined together in the most primal way. The room was filled with an aura of desire, mingled with the scent of essential oils. It made me feel nauseous. How is it? My massage skills aren't bad, right? How do you feel now? Very comfortable. How does it compare to your boyfriend? Don't mention him, it's a buzzkill. Every word pierced my soul. Bastard, even gave a massage on someone else's bed. You want protection with me, but with others you just pop the morning after pill, right? Just wait. You despicable couple. Although I was cursing angrily in my heart. However, at this moment, my mind suddenly became incredibly calm and the previous anger was gone. It seemed that after this period of investigation, this was just an answer I wanted to confirm in my heart. Let me look at everything before me more rationally. Slowly, a preliminary revenge plan took shape in my mind. I pondered for a moment. Silently, I took out my phone and set it to silent mode. Started recording through the gap. In the lens, Yvonne's expression was a kind of intoxication I had never seen before. Mason leaned close to her ear and said something, making her giggle. I hadn't heard that magical laughter in a long time. The video lasted for 5 minutes, which was enough to serve as evidence. To avoid being discovered, other accidents occurred. I quietly slipped away, returned to the rain. The cold rain hit my face, mixing with the burning tears. 2 years of feelings don't just disappear overnight. The deeper the love, the fiercer the hate. I didn't go home. Instead, I went straight to my cousin Marcus's place. Tell him what happened and ask for his help. Marcus agreed without a second thought. I want all the information on this person. I sent Mason's photo and information to Marcus. The more detailed, the better. All right, bro, wait for my news. Marcus promised solemnly. 1 day later, I received a message from my cousin. The information was very complete. Mason, 35 years old. Mason's wife, Lillian, is the only daughter of the local building materials company owner, weighs 250 g and has an average appearance. They have a 5-year-old daughter. Lillian has a strong personality and a controlling nature. Mason's salary card and whereabouts are strictly monitored. The massage parlor job is a part-time gig Mason secretly takes on, seemingly without his wife's knowledge. I looked at the information, and a more complete revenge plan gradually took shape in my mind. I will make this unfaithful couple pay a price they will never forget for the rest of their lives. I opened the software and used the AI function to start planning every step in detail. Before long, A perfect plan gradually took form. I put away my phone and walked to the window. There were no stars in the night sky, just like there was no light left in his heart. The woman he once loved deeply had now become his most hated enemy. But it doesn't matter. Soon, they will all learn how terrible the price of betraying me is. The next day, at Marcus's home, I stared at the obscene video on the phone screen, my fingers trembling uncontrollably. Yvonne's lascivious expression and voice in the footage were completely different from the gentle and sweet image she usually showed me. I pressed the pause button, took a deep breath, and flipped the phone face down on the table. "Brother, are you okay?" My cousin Marcus asked me with concern. "I'm fine." My voice was surprisingly calm. "The information you found is very detailed, especially the part about Mason's wife, Lillian." Marcus handed me a glass of whiskey. "That Lillian is definitely not someone to mess with. I heard that last year a female nurse sent Mason some flirtatious messages. And after Lillian found out, she made a scene at the hospital and the nurse was fired on the spot." I took a sip of the wine, the fiery sensation burning down my throat into my stomach. "So that's why Mason secretly works part-time as a massage therapist outside. He needs a place to satisfy his needs." What do you plan to do? Marcus asked in a low voice. I swirled the glass, the ice cubes clinking crisply. The show is about to begin. On the third day, the opportunity came. Yvonne was wearing that pale purple tight dress I had never seen before, carefully putting on makeup in front of the dressing table. She had been like this lately, spending over an hour getting ready before going out. "Going for a massage again today?" I leaned against the doorframe, my tone calm. Yvonne paused for a moment while applying mascara. The doctor said that after a few more sessions, I'll be fully recovered. "Does recovery require wearing such heavy makeup?" I walked up to her and picked up the perfume bottle on the dressing table. "Still wearing perfume? Alex, what do you mean?" Yvonne put down the mascara, frowning. I sneered coldly. "What do I mean?" "You should ask yourself what you mean. How many times have you been to the massage parlor recently? Every time it's at least 2 hours, and you come back with messy hair and swollen lips. Do you really think I'm a fool?" Yvonne's expression changed instantly, but she quickly regained her composure. "You suspect me? You're investigating me? Are you crazy? I was just going for physiotherapy." The masseuse is professional. She graduated from the launching traditional Chinese medicine school. "You. Masseuse? You say it so affectionately." I interrupted her and continued speaking. "Then tell me, what are the contraceptive pills in your bag for? Don't tell me you bought them for us to use together. We've never used such things." Yvonne stared at me intently, her lips beginning to tremble, but instead she shouted angrily, "You went through my bag?" As if this matter was more important than her cheating. "Is this the main point?" I raised my voice. "What exactly is your relationship with that Mason? You are simply unreasonable." Yvonne suddenly stood up, her eyes reddening, and shouted, "I work so hard every day, my back injury hurts so much I can't sleep, and I finally found a treatment that relieves the pain, yet you're here being suspicious and paranoid." I grabbed her wrist firmly, pretending to be very angry. "Tell me, are you having an affair with him?" Yvonne obviously didn't expect me to ask directly. She struggled hard to break free from my hand, crying out heart-wrenchingly, "Let go of me. I never thought you would suspect me just because I went for a massage." Hearing her crying, anyone who didn't know would really be fooled by her acting. Unfortunately, the video of her cheating with Mason is still saved on my phone. I sneered in my heart. "Let me collect some interest first. Answer me." I shouted angrily. "Are you involved with Mason?" At the same time, I reached out and slapped her hard across the face. The sharp smack echoed piercingly in the room. She covered her face, looking at me in disbelief. You hit me?" In her impression, I had always been completely obedient to her. I wouldn't even let her do the dirty work. But now I actually slapped her. "You bastard. How dare you hit me? I'll fight you to the end. After coming to her senses, she clawed at me fiercely, trying to pounce. Smack. Smack. There was no way I would indulge her now. After a few slaps, I knocked her out cold. Me, standing over 6 feet tall with six-pack abs. This is not something that Yvonne, who is only about 1.6 meters tall, can fight against. Yvonne, coming back to her senses, saw the situation. She also knew that continuing here would only bring her trouble. She turned around, grabbed her bag, and walked straight out. I stepped forward and blocked the doorway. What, in a hurry to see your lover? Move aside. Yvonne shoved me. In that instant, I raised my hand and slapped her hard again. You are not a man. Let's break up, I said coldly. Get out and find your master, and don't let me see you again. Tears welled up in Yvonne's eyes. I don't know if it's pain, anger, or just pretending. But seeing her swollen face, I still felt very satisfied inside. Alex, you will regret this. She cried as she grabbed her coat and phone, fiercely pushing past my shoulder and rushing out the door. The door slammed with a deafening noise, and the entire apartment seemed to tremble. I stood still, this time neither stopping her nor hitting her, listening to the sound of her high heels gradually fading away. The anger on my face subsided, but a trace of a sneer appeared at the corner of my mouth. As if nothing had happened just now. Walking to the window, I saw Yvonne angrily hail a taxi. As expected, the address she gave was in the direction of the massage parlor. I picked up the phone and dialed Marcus. She left. After hanging up, I turned on the computer. I made some edits to the secretly recorded video from that night. Make sure the faces of the two people are clearly recognizable, but without revealing that I was the one who took the video. Then, I registered a new email account, attached the video, and entered Lillian's work email address. Hovering the mouse over the send button, I paused for a few seconds. Memories of the past 2 years with Yvonne flashed through my mind. She burned the pot the first time she cooked for me. When we squeezed onto the sofa to watch a horror movie, she was so scared she crawled into my arms. She worked late into the night, and when I picked her up to go home, her tired yet happy smile. But all of this was overshadowed by the unbearable scene in room number 5 of the massage parlor. I slammed my fingers down heavily. The sent successfully prompt popped up. I shut down the computer and poured myself a full glass of whiskey. To revenge. I raised my glass to the empty apartment and drank it all in one go. 10 minutes later, I picked up my phone, glanced at the time, which was about right, and then used my backup phone to call Lillian. Hello? Ms. Lillian, hello. I am a concerned citizen from Chaoyang. If you have gas, just let it out. I heard Lillian's angry scolding. Instead, I felt even happier inside. A bad temper is good, the worse the better. I smiled faintly and said, It's like this, your husband, Mr. Mason, is currently working part-time as a masseur at a massage parlor, and his technique is quite good. I paused for a moment to let her digest it, then continued speaking. His technique is very popular with women. Right now he's giving a full-body massage to a girl in room 5, having a great time. Evidence? I've sent it to your email. After saying that, I didn't wait for her response and hung up the phone. I know the other party will handle it perfectly. Another 10 minutes passed. I picked up the phone again and dialed the emergency number. Reported obscene transactions occurring in room 5 of the massage parlor. Next, let the bullets fly for a while. 10 minutes later, I was already sitting in the coffee shop across the street. Through the window, I could clearly see the situation at the entrance of the massage parlor. Sure enough, just as expected. In just a few minutes, a black Mercedes screeched to a halt in front of the store. A large woman got out of the car fiercely. It was Lillian. 4 burly men followed behind her, like bodyguards or relatives. The 5 of them stormed straight into the massage parlor. I nodded to the 2 people I had hired beside me. The 2 immediately understood, picking up cameras and other equipment as they followed. In less than a minute, Screams and sounds of smashing came from inside the shop. One of the people sent by the faction was video chatting. I could clearly see this exciting and refreshing scene. After Lillian barged in, she ignored the front desk's interception. She went straight to massage room number 5, only to find the door was already locked. So, at Lillian's signal, the 1.9-meter-tall bodyguard immediately smashed the door open. Bang! Hearing the loud crash of the door opening. At the critical moment inside, Yvonne and Mason's naked bodies shuddered, their expressions frozen. The two of them struggled to turn their heads toward the door. Mason's face went pale as he saw someone he shouldn't have. Honey, let me explain. Listen to your explanation? You haven't even pulled out yet, you bastard. Using me for your own pleasure, and still daring to mess around with other women. Lillian shouted angrily. Dare to cuckold me? I'll beat you up. As soon as the words fell, 3 big men rushed over and started punching and kicking Mason. Lillian charged at Yvonne with the last big man. You damn vixen, I'll beat you to death. The big man held Yvonne down while Lillian stepped forward and slapped her hard several times. Then she struck left and right, delivering more than a dozen slaps. Of course, it also inflicted the disfiguring damage of the 9-inch white bone claw. Yvonne's face was not only swollen but also covered with crisscrossing scratch marks. Take them out and let everyone outside see just how shameless this adulterous couple is. Yes, the burly men replied, then grabbed Yvonne and Mason and walked out. No, please, I beg you. Yvonne cried out in fear. Meanwhile, Mason's face turned purple as he clutched his groin, crying out in pain. On the street outside the massage parlor, 2 loud bangs. Yvonne and Mason were thrown to the ground. Passers-by stopped to watch, and some had already taken out their phones to start taking photos and videos. Wow, this is so intense. Not a single piece of clothing on. What's going on here? Does anyone know? Do you even need to ask? It's obvious this is a story about the wife and the mistress. People around kept discussing continuously. At this moment, Yvonne could only cover her face to avoid being recognized. As for whether her body would be exposed to people on the street, she no longer cared that much. But what she didn't know was, with her hair disheveled and face swollen like this, even her parents probably wouldn't recognize her. Lillian cursed as she walked out of the massage parlor. Keep hitting me, you bitch. How dare you seduce my husband? Across the street, I could hear Lillian's angry shouts from the cafe. Divorce. You won't get a single cent. And you won't see our daughter either. And so, a few minutes later, the crowd around grew larger, some jeering, others trying to break up the fight. The scene was chaotic. It wasn't until the sound of police sirens approached that Lillian spat out a harsh warning before being pulled away by 2 bodyguards. This isn't over, you 2 scoundrels, just you wait. I sat in the cafe, watching it all unfold with cold detachment. This is all the retribution they deserve. Afterwards, the police arrived. Yvonne and Mason were taken to the hospital by the police car for treatment. As for Lillian and the others, they had already disappeared into the crowd by the time the police sirens drew near. I had someone edit parts of the video and send it to the police to see if it could be classified as soliciting prostitution so they could detain the 2 for a few days. 1 day later, when Yvonne came out of the police station, her whole face was still burning with pain. She wore a mask and sunglasses, afraid of being recognized. Last night her injuries were relatively minor, and after receiving treatment at the hospital, she was taken to the police station to give a statement. At that moment, she wished she could find a crack in the ground to crawl into. The police looked at her with nothing but contempt, and some even secretly took photos of her swollen, pig-like face with their phones. In the end, this matter was due to the absence of any financial transactions beyond the massage services. The police classified it as an affair between 2 people falling within the realm of morality. Yvonne was released, and her phone was returned to her. She didn't dare tell her parents and could only call her best friend Tina. I got into a fight, and now I'm at the police station. Can you come pick me up? Her voice trembled. When Tina arrived, she saw Yvonne in such a miserable state that she almost didn't recognize her and was so shocked she couldn't speak. You are Yvonne? Oh my God, this isn't a fight. This looks like you were beaten up by a group. Yvonne hung her head, tears dripping down one after another. Don't ask. I'm begging you. I just want to go back and rest properly. I'm tired. Seeing this, Tina opened her mouth. In the end, she sighed and had no choice but to take her away first. Along the way, Yvonne's phone kept vibrating. All were messages from Mason. Yvonne, I'm sorry, I really didn't expect it to turn out like this. My wife wants to divorce me. I have nothing left now. What are we going to do from now on? Yvonne sneered coldly and immediately blocked him. That useless bastard. If it weren't for him, how could she have ended up like this? And I heard at the hospital that he broke his third leg. The doctor said whether he can ever raise the flag again depends on fate. She touched her swollen, red face, filled with hatred in her heart. But where could she go now? Yvonne anxiously scrolled through her phone, only to find more than a dozen missed calls. Opening it, she saw they were all from Alex. Could it be that I'm going back to be with Alex again? But yesterday he slapped me and we broke up. In the end, I stormed out angrily. Going back now would be nothing but self-humiliation. Besides, the wounds on my face haven't healed yet. Just as she was hesitating, the phone suddenly rang. It was Alex. Yvonne's fingers trembled. She hesitated for a few seconds, but still answered. Hello. Her voice was hoarse. On the other end of the phone, my voice was low and gentle, even tinged with a hint of choking emotion. Yvonne, where are you? I've been looking for you all night. Yvonne was stunned. He was worried about me? I'm at a friend's house. She lied instinctively. Yvonne, I'm sorry, I was too impulsive yesterday. My voice seemed full of regret. I shouldn't have doubted you, let alone laid a hand on you. I checked, and yesterday's matter was a misunderstanding on my part. Can you forgive me? Yvonne's heart skipped a beat. He still doesn't know what happened at the massage parlor yesterday? True, I was beaten up so badly yesterday, he probably wouldn't recognize me. But is he regretting it? Men. Yvonne bit her lip, pretending to be aggrieved. What's the use of saying this now? Do you know how upset I am? I know everything. I sighed. Yvonne, let's meet. I have something I want to tell you in person. What did you say? On the other end of the phone, I was silent for a few seconds, then softly said, I want to marry you. I agreed to all the conditions of your family. Yvonne's pupils contracted, and her breath caught for a moment. Marry her? A bride price of $980,000, a house, and an animal car. I continued. Actually, I had already prepared the engagement ring. I originally wanted to give it to you on your birthday, but after the way we argued yesterday, I was really afraid of losing you. My voice was unbearably gentle, even trembling slightly. Yvonne, give me a chance, okay? I promise I will never doubt you again. I will treat you well. Yvonne's heart was pounding wildly. Alex was proposing. She was quickly calculating in her mind. Her reputation is ruined now, and her job might be affected as well. Mason, that loser, can't even take care of himself. As for Alex, he has a house, a car, a stable income, and he is completely obedient to her. If she goes back now, not only can she salvage this relationship, but they could even get married right away. And Mason? What the hell does it have to do with her? But with the way she looks now, wouldn't she be exposed as soon as they meet? She took a deep breath, her voice softening. Fan. Actually, I was wrong too. I shouldn't have lost my temper with you. So, shall we meet? Alex asked. No. Wait a moment first. I'm afraid you'll regret it later. Let's both calm down for a few more days. She didn't dare to meet him and could only pretend to be understanding as she spoke. Also, I hope you propose to me on my birthday. The whole process must be full of a sense of ceremony, okay? All right, Yvonne, I'll do whatever you say. Everything will be as you wish. Please make sure to take care of yourself these days. I got it. After hanging up the phone, a smile involuntarily appeared at the corner of Yvonne's mouth. There is always a way out. She immediately said to Tina, Alex said he is going to propose to me. Tina looked shocked. Weren't you guys just yesterday? Oh, isn't it normal for couples to argue? Yvonne waved her hand impatiently. Meanwhile, on the other side, I hung up the phone and the tenderness on my face vanished instantly. Instead, there was a cold smile. You filthy bitch, still craving a full sense of ceremony. I'll make sure you truly experience the sense of ceremony you want. 3 days later, Yvonne's birthday party arrived as scheduled. She spent a full 3 hours applying makeup, using the thickest foundation to cover the bruises on her face. Then she put on a pair of large sunglasses to make absolutely sure nothing was visible. Just before leaving, she checked herself repeatedly in the mirror. Only after confirming there was no sign of any flaw did she pick up her bag with satisfaction. Yvonne, are you sure you want to go? Tina looked at her with concern. Your injury hasn't fully healed yet. Of course I have to go. Yvonne interrupted her impatiently. Alex is proposing to me today. How could I possibly miss it? Tina hesitated, then finally sighed. All right, just be careful. Yvonne ignored her and happily walked out the door. The birthday party was held in a VIP room of a high-end restaurant. As soon as Yvonne opened the door, she was stunned by the scene before her. The entire private room was decorated like a dream, with balloons, flowers, streamers, and her favorite champagne tower. What surprised her even more was that the room was filled with her friends and colleagues. Even her parents, whom she hadn't seen for over a year, had come. Yvonne, happy birthday. Everyone cheered in unison. Yvonne was so moved she almost cried. She took off her sunglasses and walked up to her parents. Revealing her carefully made-up face, she smiled shyly. Mom, Dad. Her father Gregory smiled with relief. From now on, you must live well and not be so willful anymore. Thank you, everyone. I stepped out of the crowd, dressed in a sharp suit, holding a large bouquet of roses in my hands. I looked at Yvonne with deep affection, kneeling on one knee. Yvonne, happy birthday. Today, I want to give you a special gift. Yvonne's heart raced, and her cheeks flushed. She watched as I took a velvet box from my pocket and slowly opened it. A dazzling diamond ring sparkled brilliantly under the lights. Will you marry me? My voice was gentle yet firm. The private room instantly erupted with enthusiastic applause and cheers. Promise him. Promise him. Yvonne pretended to be reserved, covering her mouth, tears glistening in her eyes. She was about to nod in agreement. Suddenly, the door of the private room was pushed open. A delivery person walked in. May I ask who is Mr. Alex? There is a surprise gift here from Miss Yvonne. It is said to be given to you at this special moment, the happiest time for two people. The delivery man was holding a USB drive. Yvonne was stunned. What? I didn't prepare any surprises? I stood up, took the USB drive, and said with a face full of surprise, Yvonne, you even prepared a surprise for me? That's so thoughtful. Yvonne was completely confused, but with all eyes on her, she couldn't deny it and could only force a smile. Maybe Tina helped me prepare it? Tina shook her head frantically from the side. It wasn't me. At this moment, I had already plugged the USB drive into the private room's projection equipment, smiling as I said, Since it's Yvonne's intention, let's watch it together. The projection screen slowly descended, and everyone gathered around curiously. A sudden sense of foreboding surged in Yvonne's heart, but before she could stop it, the video had already started playing. On the screen, it was none other than Yvonne and Mason in an indecently intimate scene at a massage parlor. The video was so clear that even their conversation could be heard distinctly. Yvonne's charming voice and Mason's filthy language instantly silenced the entire private room. Yvonne's face turned pale in an instant, and she let out a scream. "Turn it off. Turn it off quickly." But it was already too late. The video continued to play until Lillian rushed in with people, beating her and Mason severely. The whole scene was fully presented to everyone. The private room was deathly silent, and everyone looked at Yvonne with shock and disdain. My expression instantly darkened. I turned around sharply, glaring at Yvonne with immense anger, and shouted, "Is this the happy time you were talking about? You've got some nerve. No, this isn't true. This is fabricated. Someone is framing me." Yvonne shouted hysterically, tears blurring the carefully applied makeup, revealing the still healing bruises underneath. "Framing you?" I sneered coldly. Yvonne was about to say something else. A figure darted out from the side and appeared in front of Yvonne. It was her father Gregory, whose anger had already twisted his face. Gregory raised his hand and slapped her twice, leaving her speechless. "You bastard! Stealing and scheming when you were little, being lazy and good for nothing is one thing. To think you would do something so utterly rebellious, you truly are my good daughter." After saying that, he turned to me with a face full of apology. "Little Chin, the family has suffered misfortune. Uncle has wronged you." "Uncle, I don't blame you." I sighed and said sorrowfully. While people around me felt sympathy, they also began to whisper and point fingers. "Happy times, haha, she really is quite happy. Still swearing she's innocent. What a bunch of hypocritical scumbags. Usually so pure, never expected her to be this slutty." All kinds of filthy and unbearable words entered Yvonne's mind. "No, it's not like that." Yvonne still wanted to explain something. Gregory suddenly grabbed her wrist. "Then what about these?" Then he roughly wiped off the foundation on her face, revealing clear scars. "Where did these wounds come from? Were you beaten at the massage parlor that day?" Yvonne was struck as if by lightning, hurriedly trying to cover up in panic. Gregory shouted, both angry and disappointed. "Shameless to have an affair, but too embarrassed to be seen by others. You've completely disgraced our family. I don't have a daughter like you." At that moment, Yvonne's mother also came over. She directly slapped her daughter hard, with such force that she staggered and fell to the ground. People around exclaimed in shock, but no one stepped forward to help. Then she grabbed Gregory and walked away directly. She really couldn't afford to lose face. Back then, she stole money and urged her younger siblings to drop out of school and work to support her studies. Now to do such a misfortune to the family again. She regrets not having killed her back then. After I saw Yvonne's parents off, I turned to look at Yvonne. "I gave you my whole heart, and yet you treat me like this?" I kept roaring, like a man truly betrayed. "I even bought the wedding house, just waiting to propose to you today." Yvonne covered her face, curled up on the ground sobbing. She saw the looks in the eyes of the people around her change from shock to blatant disgust. Her best friend Tina stood at the edge of the crowd, her face full of disdain. "I didn't know she was that kind of person. I'm not close to her," Tina loudly told the person next to her, deliberately distancing herself from Yvonne. Even more terrifying, Yvonne noticed a camera set up in the corner of the restaurant, its red recording light on. She trembled as she pointed there. That's what?" I followed her finger and sneered even more coldly. "Oh, that's the live broadcast equipment." I wanted everyone to witness our happy moment, but it ended up witnessing your disgrace. "No!" Yvonne screamed, lunging at the camera, but I grabbed her firmly. "It's too late, darling," I whispered in her ear, my voice so low only she could hear. "Now the whole internet knows what kind of slut you really are." This sentence became the final straw that broke Yvonne. She broke down and cried uncontrollably, her carefully crafted image completely ruined. Her makeup was smeared like a clown's, and the expensive dress was wrinkled and clung to her body. "Please, Alex, forgive me." She knelt on the ground, begging. I was just momentarily confused. It's you I love. I took a step back, looking at her with disgust. Don't touch me. You make me feel sick. I turned to the crowd watching, my voice returning to calm. Sorry to have shown everyone such an embarrassing scene. Today's party is over. Please all go home. People whispered as they left, occasionally glancing back with disdainful looks at Yvonne on the ground. Some even took out their phones to capture her disgrace, the flash constantly flickering on her face. I glanced at her one last time and turned to leave. Yvonne threw herself at his legs and hugged them. Don't go. Please don't leave me. I have nothing left now. I coldly pried her fingers apart. You should have anticipated this outcome. No. Yvonne's eyes widened. I stood up, turned around, smiled faintly, ignored her, and left the restaurant. Leaving Yvonne slumped alone on the ground, surrounded by scattered rose petals and a broken diamond ring box. As for that fake diamond ring worth 2 yuan inside, just give it to her. The restaurant manager walked over and said with disgust, Miss, please leave, we are closing. Yvonne stood up blankly and staggered out of the restaurant. It had started raining outside at some unknown time. The icy rain struck her face, washing away all her pretenses. Her phone kept vibrating, flooded with countless messages and missed calls. There were accusations from other relatives, friendships severed, and even a notice of dismissal from the company. She trembled as she opened social media, only to find her name trending at the top. Hashtag Yvonne's affair video hashtag. Hashtag the most shameless proposal scene in history hashtag. Wait a moment. Under these topics, there are countless netizens' mockery and insults. A taxi stopped in front of her, and the driver rolled down the window. Miss, do you need a ride? Yvonne nodded blankly and got in the car. The driver glanced at her through the rearview mirror and suddenly showed a surprised expression. Hey, aren't you the one from the internet? Shut up. Drive. Yvonne screamed. The driver curled his lips and fell silent. Outside the car window, the rain grew heavier, just like Yvonne's world collapsing at this moment. She leaned against the window, silently crying, knowing her life was completely ruined. And at this moment, I stood inside a black car not far away, calmly watching it all unfold. I took out my phone and sent a message. Miss Yen, our cooperation has been very pleasant. Yes, she is completely finished. I took one last look at the taxi carrying Yvonne away in the rain and said to the driver, let's go. 2 weeks later in the evening, I stood under the neon lights of the pedestrian street, watching a figure both familiar and strange before me. Mason sat on a tattered piece of cardboard. His 2 legs were twisted and spread out, with makeshift casts below the knees, stained and marked by dried rainwater. He held a rusty tin can in his hands, shaking it mechanically, producing the occasional clink of coins. His once meticulously combed hair now clung oily to his scalp. The expensive suit was replaced with dirty, tattered rags. The handsome face that had Yvonne utterly captivated was now scruffy, with hollow eyes. Have mercy, Mason said numbly. A few steps away, Yvonne knelt on the damp floor tiles, in front of a crooked piece of cardboard that read, seeking kind-hearted people to help with medical expenses. Her long hair was disheveled and loose, with a large waterproof bandage covering her right cheek, the edges faintly revealing a fierce scar extending behind her ear. She kept her head down, not daring to meet anyone's gaze, mechanically repeating the act of bowing. My figure slowly walked away, the sound of leather shoes stepping on the puddled ground clear and distinct.